Alright, so next we're going to look at the quadratic formula. But before that, we're just going to do an exercise where we actually prove the quadratic formula. So just say we're given the general equation of a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c. I want you guys to solve this by completing the square. So remember, the first step is, because it's not monic, you want to divide through by a squared. So your first step is going to be x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. So yeah, I want to give you guys time to do it, so you can pause the video and then try and complete the square to get the result shown below. So yeah, I'll show you the answer soon. Alright, so now we're going to focus on how to actually use this equation. So remember, the a is whatever's in front of the x squared, the b is the coefficient of x, and c is just a constant term. So just say, if we're given these questions, 3x squared minus 3x minus 1. So our a is going to be the 3. Remember, you got to take the sign with it. So b is going to be negative 3, and c is just going to be negative 1. So from here, it's just pretty much substitution. So yeah, you're pretty much expected to memorize this formula, so make sure you write it out every time just to help you memorize it. So yeah, remember, you have to be careful with your signs. So I'll just write out the full working out just so you can see it. But normally, negative 3 will give you a positive 3. So you'll learn this later, but the bit underneath the square root, that's known as discriminant. And sometimes when you get a negative number in there, that means there's no solution to this quadratic, because you can't have a square root of a negative. But yeah, if you do this question, if you do that square root bit on your calculator, you get 21. So it'll be 3 plus or minus square root 21 over negative 6. And we can't break down the third square root of 21, so that's our final answer. So you guys can pretty much try the rest on your own. Alright, so now that you've used the quadratic formula and you've checked your answers, I just want to make a quick note of the quadratic formula. So a lot of people like to use the quadratic formula because it's just substituting straight into a formula. You don't need to think about factors or anything. So yeah, that's why some people like to use the quadratic formula. Even though it takes a bit longer to do all the working out, it just requires less thinking. But yeah, let's move on to problem solving with quadratics now. So yeah, so generally these aren't that bad, but the hardest part is the start, when you have to figure out what the formula is. So you'll see when we do the examples below. But yeah, also, when you problem solve with quadratics, always think about what the question is asking you. So like, if it's a real life question, remember you can't have a negative length. Alright, so let's try and solve these two problems here. So find two positive integers that are consecutive and their product is 90. So yeah, if your number is x, then if you think about it, the next consecutive number would be x plus 1. So that means the consecutive and their product would be 90. So now we just expand this. So we get x squared plus x and then I'm just going to bring that 90 over. So minus 90 equals 0. And now, yeah, we can just solve this using any of our techniques. But remember, since they want a positive integer, that tells us, that gives us a hint that it's going to factorize nicely. So let's just go back to our old L method. So two numbers that times to give you negative 90 and add to give you 1. So yeah, it will be negative 10 and 9. So then we have in our brackets x plus 10 and x minus 9 equals 0, and that gives us x equals negative 10 and 9. So that means the numbers, so remember, since they only want the positive ones, so it's going to be 9, so we'll take the 9, so the numbers are 9 and 10. That's pretty bad writing. But yeah, anyway, the next one, let's try the next one. So consecutive numbers, odd numbers, and their product is 63. So we're going to start the same way. So if our number is x, the next consecutive odd number would be x plus 2. And then their product is 63. So yeah, I'll let you guys try this whole page, and then I'll give you the solutions. Alright guys, so here are the answers. So yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is, yeah, make sure you have a concluding statement with your answers, just to make it clear that you've answered what they're asking you. And it's also good to have it for word problems especially. Alright, so for the triangle, you should have got heights of negative 7 and 2. And as you know, negative 7 is not an actual length, so it has to be 2. So in this case, yeah, it's 2 centimeters, then the base is h plus 2, so you get 7. And for the last question, yes, remember, if a ball goes up, it's got to go down, so it makes a parabolic shape. So the question asks for the first time it reaches 12 meters, and yeah, so the first time you figure out is 2 minutes, so it's not going to be 6 because you want the first time.